Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Photography Gamer here, and today I will be reviewing a game from a few years back. It's not the Hitman that came out in the 90s, it's Hitman 2016, so it's kind of a reboot of the franchise. Backstory is I kind of played Hitman 1 on the PC, Hitman 2 and Hitman Contracts on the PlayStation. Then I fell out of love with the series when they did Hitman Blood Money and Hitman Absolution because it kind of lost its roots. It tried to become more story based. Whereas I feel the game was always at its best as just a pure hitman. You're a hitman, you have a job, you go do it. That's that. Thank you very much. The Metacritic scores for this, critics 84, users 7.8, so I guess this is a kind of game that you're either going to really love or just be indifferent to. What is the game? Well, Hitman, you play Agent 47, who's this kind of bald guy with a barcode on the back of his head who completely stands out in a crowd and would be a rubbish hitman, but he is part of a kind of a shadowy organization that eliminates targets for money for various parties, basically. So you're paid to assassinate people. Obviously there's more complexities to it, but that's the premise. This game has gone back to the roots of the franchise. It's gone more like the first three. It's just, there is still an overarching story here, but the overarching story doesn't really factor into the actual levels. It's more like cutscene interludes. You get the story through cutscenes. So you can play it like the old Hitman, you just do the mission and that's that. So, and the game's made by IO Interactive, who I have to say I've done a really good job with this because they've really taken the game back to its roots and it feels more like Hitman than ever, which for those who played the original three will completely understand what I'm saying, but it's just the feeling, a kind of a more understated feeling to it rather than try and be like a Hollywood blockbuster. So the story, yeah, as I said, it revolves around Agent 47. There is a story, like a conspiracy around this game where there's some Illuminati organization or some kind of gathering information about all the powerful people, and they're trying to do a WikiLeaks, I guess, and it's kind of, there's a various degree of contracts that are trying to eliminate key people in these organizations, but it's very convoluted and confusing from the cutscenes, but I won't really give anything away. But that's interesting as a narrative, but it's not really why you play the levels, to be honest. The story is kind of thin, but that's what Hitman games need. You're a hitman, you're not there to it's not Jack and Ori where let's have a story, let's have my silenced pistol and then shoot this guy in the head and then just walk away like nothing happened. That's Hitman. So yeah, story is kind of thin, but that's what it should be. The game is set in kind of modern times. They released it episodically, if that's even a word, which I wasn't keen on, so I waited until all of the locations were available. So you have starts out in Paris, Sapienza, which is a fake Italian city. It's kind of like supposed to be the southern coast of Italy with all the colourful buildings. Marrakesh in Morocco, Hokkaido in Japan, Colorado in the States. All of the locations are quite large, very expansive, really give you a sense of kind of freedom in terms of how you want to approach it. But the locations are all very different and all very nicely put together, and I really enjoyed exploring them. They were very cool. The contracts in this one, they are kind of what you would imagine. You assassinate this person or assassinate these two people, assassinate these people with this method, this gun, this way, collect a piece of intelligence, collect an item, something that's like sensitive information you have to reclaim in order to get bonuses. So that's pretty much the life of the Hitman in this game. And the world that they've created to sort of play this out actually is really kind of nicely put together. It feels alive, it feels like there's lots of things going on and lots of people doing things, so it's kind of, for me, the game world really works. If you've never played a Hitman game, the way the gameplay kind of works is you get thrown into a level, so you just sort of you're in a place in a map, and in that map is one of your targets. So you have to find that person, and you also have to find a moment where you can take that person out, whether it's when they're alone in a bathroom or if it's, rigging some explosives to something that they're using, or poisoning their food, or dropping something on their head from a great height, like from scaffolding. There's a multitude of ways you can do it. You're trying to paint a picture of the environment so you can see what's at your disposal in terms of ways you can eliminate your target. You start experimenting, you start trying things, you start trying to take them out this way, that way. Doesn't always work, but the levels are quite vast and large, so there is a huge amount. There's multiple ways you can take on the missions in this one, which I really like. It gives you a sense of like improvisation and freedom. So that's the kind of style of the levels, the style of the gameplay. It's kind of very voyeuristic in the first instance. You go in and you're kind of, it's like reconnaissance. You're kind of taking in the environment and trying to find the best way forward in terms of achieving your goals, and also how to get out of the location if the shit hits the fan, and you have to take out a few people as well as your target. So it's kind of stealthy predominantly, but it can also escalate into kind of firefights and quite a lot of carnage. There's been many a moment where I've done a contract and it looked like I was going to get away without being seen, and then someone sees you, you have to take them out, someone else sees you, you take them out, someone else sees you, shoots, the gun noise brings everyone down, and before you know it, you're in like a massacre. But that's kind of part of the fun of the game, really. We've all done that. Anyone who says they haven't is lying. So yeah, that's the kind of the gameplay loop. It's quite cerebral in the first instance, but it's very satisfying when you do find a nice method to do it. You get it done, you get out, you feel like like a ninja, a bald ninja in a suit. But yeah, so that's the levels, and then you obviously, like I said before, you have the cutscenes. The cutscenes are kind of nicely done, I guess, but they're really just there as filler to sort of just fluff out the story. But you don't really even need to pay attention to the story, to be perfectly honest. You can, but for me, it's not massively captivating. It's okay. For me, I play this game to be a hitman, to go into a level, to reconnaissance the mission, to see what's available, and then take it forward from there and try and execute it, or execute them, should I say. So the contracts, obviously you go into a mission, you're going to have to kill somebody because you're a hitman, but you might have to do some other things, and that's where the freedom of expression comes in terms of like, do you do the side stuff first? Do you take out the target first? Because once you take the target out, if things get messy, the whole level can become quite dangerous because of all of the security and the military, or whoever, whatever level you're on, their awareness and their hostility has gone up. So it's probably it's better to do the side stuff first, because then you can kind of do that stuff, it's done, and then carry on. The one thing this game does have, it has a manual save function, so you can save at any moment, which I do like, because doing the same things over and over again, it's like, if I've done something, I like to save it and say, right, I've done that part of the level. The combat in this game, the shooting feels good. The auto aim's a bit easy, so I took off all of the kind of automatic aiming stuff, all of the assistance, all of the maps. I just like walking into the environment blind, really. The guns feel okay. The sound effects are a little bit kind of flimsy. They don't feel like they've got enough muscle, but then again, the stealthy sort of, the silence sounds okay, but a lot of the guns sound a bit tinny, a bit weak. But then again, it's not really a game about going in guns blazing, so it's not like a big criticism, but I feel like the gun sounds a little bit poor. But the hand-to-hand combat's not too bad. You can, if you've got a melee weapon, you can just press the square button and execute an opponent quickly, so that's quite good. You can have a punch up with someone, but it turns into a bit of a quick time event, and it's press triangle, press circle. I'm not really sure why they did that. They should have just done square is punch, and you just punch. Seemed like why have a quick time event, didn't make much sense to me, but minor gripe. But it's more about the stealth. The stealth kills are really where you're at in this game. So the overall feel, it's kind of, it feels right, nice to play, nice kind of the levels, the contracts, the settings, the methods of doing it, the freedom of expression. The gameplay is definitely an enjoyable one. I definitely enjoyed that. Game modes, obviously you've got the main campaign, which everybody should do. Then you have bonus missions depending on what version of the game you've got. They're also interesting if you do those. There is a mode where you can make your own contracts. I never really looked into that until recently, but basically you can go to, let's say you go to, I don't know, Sapienza, which is the Italian level. So you go there and you don't have a mission. So you can go around the whole level, and when you find someone you want to kill, you press a button, hold it, and you mark that person. And then you take them out in whatever way you want to take them out. And then you extradite yourself from the level when you've done it. And then at the end, you can save that mission so that then you can upload that to the game, and everyone in the world can view your contract. You can give it a name, give it a description. That's kind of fun. I never really looked into that, but I've started doing some people's levels, and they're actually quite amusing and quite enjoyable. So that can add gameplay. That's a good game mode. Now, this game is 3 years old, so you have to consider that. But I wouldn't say the graphics are particularly incredible. They're okay. They're not. You're not going to look at it and go, "That looks fucking terrible." But you're going to look at it and think, "Oh, this could look a lot better." Maybe they didn't put as much time into the graphical quality as they could have, but the levels do look nice. They're nice effects, nice graphics, but it's nice, but not amazing. Could have been amazing. But, like Sapienza, that's very colourful. Hokkaido looks beautiful. They all look good levels, but I think they could have looked a bit more detailed or more vibrant, or just better effects. Like the ocean effects in Sapienza are quite not so great, to be honest, but it's a minor issue. But I feel graphics aren't the best. The animations are fairly nice. I mean, there's also no camera mode in this game. There's no mode where you can pause and rotate cameras and take pictures, which I like to do, but this game they haven't really added that. It would have been nice because it's quite picturesque, even though the graphics aren't super amazing. It still looks nice, and you still could do some quite interesting moments, especially during the assassinations. So generally the graphics are fairly disappointing without being horrendous or terrible. They're just solid. They're like, okay, I can work with that, but could they have been better? Yes, they could have. It doesn't detract from the gameplay, but you do feel they maybe missed an opportunity in terms of the quality. The voice acting's pretty good. It's a little bit cartoony, cheesy. When you're walking through crowds, you do hear the murmuring of crowds, and then occasionally you'll hear a voice come above all of them. That's usually when you get a little bit of intel. I don't know, when I hear them, they feel like they're in a cartoon. It doesn't feel like people having a real conversation, if you know what I mean. It feels like two people going, "Oh, our cameraman has not turned up yet. Oh gosh, what are we going to do?" And the other guy goes, "Oh yeah, if only there was a replacement available. Yeah, what can we do about that?" And then you think, "Okay, I'll find the cameraman, take his stuff, and then replace him." But it's a bit like, this game is a little bit camp. It is a little bit over the top also in some ways, but that's kind of the Hitman series. Even though it's a kind of serious assassination game, there are moments where it's a little bit ridiculous like that. The music, it's difficult to all I can say about the music is it kind of just blends in. I couldn't really tell you what one of the tracks sounds like. It's the music is done very well, in my opinion, because it kind of just fits in with the environments. It's very smooth. It very just kind of blends in and out. I couldn't pinpoint one. I couldn't even tell you what it sounds like, but I never heard one and thought, "What's this?" It all balanced with the presentation. So the music, I felt, balances well. The ambient sounds of crowds and then the environments are good, definitely, and sound effects. The guns, like I said before, I don't know, maybe it's just the sound of the guns in different environments doesn't change that much from what I remember. And the sound of the guns is a little bit soft. Not that that's going to really make you not enjoy this game, but the sound in this game is good, but there are points where it's kind of dips down a bit. Pros and cons, what's good and bad. So the contracts are enjoyable to play. The levels are kind of vast and varied and have lots of opportunities to fulfill the contract in whatever way you choose. Bad points, I think graphics, they're not bad, but they could have been better. The sound is, middling, okay. The story, kind of indifferent. It doesn't really matter for this sort of game. For me, the big pro about this game is just, it feels like Hitman. It feels like the originals. It feels like you're an assassin, you're dropped off somewhere, you have a job to do, you do the job, you get out. That's really what this game is all about. So that's the major good point. But yeah, graphics, sound perhaps could have been better. I mean, if you like Hitman 1, 2 and Hitman Contracts, you should buy this game because you will love it. It's a throwback to that kind of style of Hitman. It's not the kind of like the other two. It's not the longest game in the world. You can complete the missions fairly quickly once you know what you're doing, but it's all about taking your time. So I liked the game. I liked it. It didn't last that long, but with the new missions they released, it does extend the gameplay, and it's an enjoyable experience. I liked it. I mean, what would I give it out of 10? I'd give it 7 out of 10. Now that may sound harsh, but 7 is still a good score for me because I'm never going to give anyone 10 out of 10 unless it's the perfect game, and I've never played the perfect game. So 7 out of 10 is a good score. And this is a good game and you will enjoy it, especially if you like stealthy games where you can be a hitman and be kind of discreet and try and be like a professional. But saying that, if you're like John Rambo, you can just go in with an Uzi and just shoot everyone in the level if you can survive. So like you've got the option. But yeah, 7 out of 10 I would say is a fair score. It's a good game. It's enjoyable, bit short, graphics not as good as they could be. Some of the sound issues aren't great. Gameplay is great. Story, who cares? It's definitely worth playing. I mean, this game's 3 years old now, so you can pick this game up for relatively nothing, like probably $10 or whatever. So I'd recommend picking it up and giving it a go because I enjoyed it. It's a good game. That's the review. Hope you enjoyed it. I'd be grateful for your feedback in the comment section. If you liked it, like the video, subscribe to the channel or follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I also have a Patreon page. Any support or feedback is always welcome. I really do appreciate your time and effort and giving me your thoughts. So thank you. This is Photography Gamer signing off for the day. Have a good one.